Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dot to Dot. Today, we're going to talk about les atterrissages, which is the landing on the Rochefoucald map. And this is what brings the information that is interpreted from the Zena map or Rochefoucald map to Oak Island and makes it real. Before I get into that, I'm going to put my copyright disclaimer. Anything that I use in this presentation is under the fair use purposes as stated here. So let's get into it. And here's the Rochefoucald map. I'm going to give just a very brief overview on what we covered in video 1 and 2. In video 1, we established the Vera line by the completing of the Alexandrine poem puzzle here. And we determined that the message is a little V wanders from the west. And this is, it brings you to Round Island. So this is one of the offshore references that sets up a direct east-west line of latitude. And it has to do with these three boulders. This was in video number 1 on the discovery on Round Island. That's number 1. And then the second one is the set line, which is a recognition of the error in petite and set, the ETTE and the ETTE in set, and the I create a line that comes down between the T and the E in les atterrissages. So that's number 2. And the next one is the off of Round Island on the picture, we have the line coming off of this little handle here. And the third one is the recognition of this clue here, which is this little foot, which brings us down to the little foot here. And we interpret that as a measurement that is going to be from this point established by the bark. And this measurement is going to be this measurement here. And this measurement here will become a perpendicular line. And when we take the, let's take this Round Island handle off. When we look at this here, we use some Euclidean construction and we bisect these angles, and then we can set our perpendicular line to that. And that's where we're at. This is, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 steps. And this brings us to step number 7, the landing. And the landing is interpreted through this symbolic pictorial here. And I find it interesting that here the number 7 is written out and it's pointing, and this line actually goes through the main subject of interest that starts this construction, which is this point right here. Now, if we look at this diagram of the landing, we notice that we have this little pictorial here. We have this number 1347, and then it terminates over here off of a picture of Frog Island. And this is all going to come together. And if we look at where we're at on this, these two parallel lines, we have this one parallel line that we've already established by the bisection of these two angles. And the next parallel line is going to be parallel to it at the top of this distance here. So through Euclidean construction, we create a parallel line, and it will terminate right here. Now, we can see that that looks similar to that right there because, but it's on the opposite side. And what this is doing is it's giving us a concept of mirroring. So here, over here, we have the original of how it looks on the document. And if we mirror it, we can see that this line here is denoted by the set line, and that it is coming to a endpoint, which is here with the parallel line. Now this ends up being cone C on Nolan's cross, which is the one that's out in the water. But if we take this mirroring concept a little more, we understand that this triangle right here, where we have a little coming off the top and the line coming down to a point, this triangle is going to be a function of mirroring. And if we take a line from this point to here and mirror it across, we get this triangular form here. Now, if we mirror that again upwards, now we get a triangle that is on top of this parallel line. And this concept is pretty hard to see, and it's understood if we take this landing clue and we put them together to where the little triangle is the center line. Now we sort of understand the concept a little bit better, to where we're getting a bigger triangle here. Also note that this looks like a pair of dividers or a compass. And that's pretty interesting too. So what we want to do now is we want to take a line from the top of this triangle to a point. Well, where is this point? Well, it's very clever because this is actually the set line, but it's also the place on where we stop. It's a stop line because it comes to the point at this line. So once that is set there, then you take a line from the top of that triangle, and we'll take away these two. And now you can see the concept a little bit clearer now. We have two parallel lines and a triangle, and from the apex of that triangle down to this point right here is 1,347 feet. So basically, or pied, it's 1,347 pied, which is pre-1668 French units. In our units, it is 1,444 feet. So now we have a distance or a measurement that is to be equated to 1,347 pied. And if you take the extension of this line and you bring it out, it points directly to Frog Island. Now, we have two off island references now. The three boulders on Round Island. We have this Frog Island reference here, and we have a distance which we can create a scale from. And we have a angular relationship to all these lines. So now we can basically translate these lines and orient our map to Oak Island. I find it interesting too is that Fred Nolan did a survey a while back in the 60s, I believe, or 70s. And I have an overlay of that map. And one of the stone piles that is on his survey goes directly through this line that comes off of Frog Island. Another interesting fact, too, is that you can establish from this point to this point is 3 times 1347. So this is actually 3 divider lengths to this point. Now, how is this point known? It's not like the Round Island point where we have 3 stones that are placed. So I believe this is just a map reference. And if you know enough to understand that this is 3 lengths to this, you can position this point a little more accurately. So this right here becomes your landing spot. And this distance here becomes our scale. So if we know this distance, 1347, we can calculate this distance here, which was, if you remember, our perpendicular line coming from here to here. So we have all these lines. It's very confusing, but we can see that some of them are no longer needed. One of those lines is this line, and the bark line is no longer needed. And the bisector really isn't no longer needed. That's no longer needed. And the stop line and the set line are no longer needed. So what we have here is basically the beginning of Nolan's triangle, or Nolan's cross, because this is cone D, this is cone B, this is cone C. The headstone is right here. Also, I want to make a little comment about the headstone. It is carved in the shape of a face. Well, how do you see your face? You see it in a mirror. So that may be something. That's just the other thing is this map. One of the main purposes of this map is to locate this area or this center right here, which we interpret as becoming La Hump, which is in the La Formula. And if you take a circle that is 1347 pied, we already know that distance, but it also goes through the hump. So we now have a second geometric positioning technique in order to find that point. And that point is going to be pretty important later when we go further into finding the oak entrance. So another interesting aspect of the hump here is that it is a 90-degree triangle from cone D going through the axis of Nolan's cross. And we're finding that, a lot of these geometric positions are determined by 90-degree angles. So basically, a square and compass is what is used to determine these geometric positions. So this is how we bring the information of the Rochefoucald map to Oak Island. And now we have the positions that will be utilized to find the rest of the landmarks that are on Oak Island, on the Rochefoucald map right here. So these are we're going to try and find the rest of these through geometry. So this is pretty important step. It's really hard. If you made it to the end of this, congratulations. It's hard for me to explain it, and it is something that seems absurd, but it definitely is there. Everything that I've explained on this map so far has a reason behind it, not just a made up reason, but an actual clue that emanates from this document to basically recreate Nolan's cross. And this is the first step in creating Nolan's cross. It actually will become extended from the headstone out to the north anchor, and will also show how it establishes the end stone here, which is cone E, and how this distance 1347 will become an important distance used 3 more times in order to locate these landmarks on the map. So that's it for today. I thank you for watching, and if you liked it, like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you later.